Good morning, everyone. Welcome in to the brand new edition. It is episode 20, but this time I'm not alone. This time I told you guys all week that I was getting a brand new co-host. And in life, you do learn about your troubles and tribulations. You do learn you go every high, every road, high, low, all that stuff. And um in this business, you get to work with incredible people. I've gotten to meet so many people with all the networks I got to, cross, but sometimes you got to go back to where it began. You got to go back to square one. You have to go back to what brought you to the dance, and I have right now a co-host of mine that's, like I said in a post, is just as knowledgeable. He's not going to pull no punches. He's not going to sugarcoat it. He's not going to hide his feelings. He wears his passion on his sleeves. And this is why I'm glad that he's back. I'm glad he's on the show. So no further ado, let me bring in my man, Mr. Paul. What's up, Paul?
Oh, what is going on, Pat? Wow, Pat, we're going back 20, 30 plus years here. Pat, thank you, first of all, for reaching out to me, man. It's been so long. Pat, I still remember sitting on the doorsteps at Edmond Street, talking sports, and thank God, Pat, 30 years later, it's back. We've had many shows together, Pat. Pat, you're my third son. You know that. And Pat, I'm blessed to be here with you, brother. I can't wait to get this started. Not today, but I'm talking future plus future plus future, Pat. Let's do it.
Let's do it, Paul. It's been a long time coming. It's like I said, you and I have done shows, with a lot of people, but it just feels better when you're back at home and know somebody said 30 plus years of good, 3 decades of a good relationship here. Father figure to you're like to me, son to you. It's a great combination we got here. So, but let's get right into the business at hand, Paul. Let's today, and this is the rivalry. It's a rivalry, but between the 76ers and the Celtics.
Yeah.
The 76ers will be facing the Celtics here today at 1 o'clock. I don't know if this it's the same juice that we got from the Flyers and Penguins last night. But I mean, because it's funny because like when I look at the errors in sports, like a lot of people are seeing with this baseball team, they're tired of it. They want to break up the band. They're done with this Phillies baseball team. You look at the 76ers, they want the big guy. Like I want Maxey, I want VJ Edgecombe to win, a NBA championship, but I can't see it because they got a 7'2" anchor that's holding this ship down from having that boat go forward. Am I wrong? I mean, he's not even going to be in game one today, Paul.
No, Pat, you're 100% right. I mean, you look at passion, Pat. We're old school guys, Pat. I'm turning 55 this year, Pat. And the way I look at sports, Pat, when you put in the work, Pat, my clone. When you come to a barbecue, you got to lay some foundation with me. Don't just eat all my food. That's Embiid. He's there, but Pat, every year he relies on his other younger players to get him to the pinnacle. And when you're 7'2", and Pat, here's the crazy stat: Ben Simmons has played more games than Joel Embiid in the last 2 years. That's amazing to me, Pat. When you have a player like that. But I want to see Edgecombe. I want to see Maxey. They deserve to host up this Larry O'Brien trophy, Pat. Embiid, the greatest thing, Pat, I hope this, I know this won't happen, but I really hope the Sixers win the championship. Embiid comes out and somebody just smacks him across the face and says, "Sit down, young buck. This ain't yours. This is ours as a team, Pat." I hate it. Embiid, he's just stealing money, Pat. He is an Andrew Bynum to me again.
Ooh,
Yeah, I went there, Pat. I went there. Yes, I did.
First of all, good morning to everyone over across the social media platforms, and already we're getting people chiming in saying morning. Embiid is a Frank saying Embiid is a joke. It's sad, when you look at Joel Embiid and his tender, listen. again, people try and sell me the bag of goods. Oh yeah, when healthy, he's the best basketball player on the planet. Yeah, but for how long? Like if you played a series, is he only going to give us one game, two at max, and then he's out for another month? Like
Right.
we can't get a full. Like I like to have his sick time. Where do you buy that? Can he loan me some sick? Like I get it. By this time, and it's a broken record with him. At this time of year, there's always a season like he got his face injured a couple years back. Then it's this injury, and then it's that injury, and then and like you get tired of hearing it. It's like unfortunately, and maybe he's dealing with a serious injury, but it just doesn't look good on him. It doesn't look good. Like
Well, Pat, here's the thing. Years ago, when he went to the Olympics, Pat, he disregarded surgery, played for the Olympics, then had surgery. Pat, that's not a team player. If it's me and I want, hey, I'm the property of the Philadelphia Sixers, I'm going out and getting that surgery right away. Screw the Olympics because I get paid by the Sixers. I don't get paid by the USA Olympic Committee. That's to me, some BS right there, Pat. And the key word you said is when healthy, Pat. When he came back, Pat, after this beginning of the year, he was averaging 30 points a game, Pat. Then all of a sudden, this injury, this ghost injury happens again. You cannot rely on a guy that gets $50 million a year, Pat. You can't rely on this guy. You can't.
No, you can't rely on him, and it's a shame. Like how many times, and Maxi's already, you are the face of the franchise. You are supposed to be the locker room leader. Yep. Your up and coming player Maxi pulls you to his side and tells you how it is, what you need to do, and I don't know with him. It's like again, I watch a handful of players come through Philadelphia, and it was much watched TV, and he was when he first came on the scene, one of the few bigs I've seen. He could drop a three, run up and down the floor, but those days are now over. He can't do it. He's been beat up by this injury bug, and now he can't develop, a game. Like he can't stay healthy enough. Now you have to rely on an Andre Drummond. You have to rely on this Dan Bona. And I love Dan Bona. He brings tons of energy, but he doesn't have no weight to him. He's still a puppy, Drummond, great player, but I think he's a little past his prime, and maybe that's a little too much to say. I know he dropped a double-double the other night versus Orlando, but this is a whole nother breed of going against the Celtics. Paul, the last time the Sixers beat the Celtics in a playoff series was 1982.
Were you even born yet?
No, I was somewhere hanging on my dad's chest hairs. We got some great comments coming in here already. Let's get back to the drawing board here. Someone's already saying, Trevor Pox is saying, take that shirt off. It's Flyers time. Don't you know? I'm like, I know. We're all talking Flyers, but we are going to talk some draft. So I'm glad I got the shirt on. My man Ox is saying he hasn't played a meaningful game in 6 years, and it's true. Maybe the Sixers should have traded Joel Embiid in the last 6 years.
Pat, the crazy thing is, watching Embiid play, you can tell when he's gassed, Pat. I mean, he just hybrids down to the three-point line, sits there, no screen game from this clown at all. I mean, you see other centers, Pat, when they're gassed, the least they set a screen for the off-ball guy coming off the dribble, gets down the lane, shoots the three. But there's nothing from Embiid. When he gets gassed, you know what? That's when the other team says, hey, I don't care anybody. Just take Embiid down, down the post up on him. He's not going to jump. He's not going to move. EC2. It's a joke with him.
It is a joke. It is a joke. Chris says here, Flyers are hungry. Sixers need to stop. Jason Tatum and Brown. Yeah, well, Chris, you tell us how that's going to work. I mean, how are they going to dial up a game plan to develop that? I mean, the Sixers always get cooked in defensive zones, and I don't know if that's coaching from Nurse. I don't know if Nick Nurse knows how to dial up a game plan that's going to be able to stop those guys. Like, I see a broom coming out. Unfortunately, I think this is just 4 extra games for the Sixers to have. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they'll surprise us. Maybe they'll pull a game, maybe 2 games, if that. But I can't see them beating the Celtics. And again, this is going to be another down, a Celtics beatdown that's going to come into Philadelphia. Why? Because your star player can't stay healthy. Like the way, we're talking about Joel Embiid, you don't see like everyone thinks that you need Joel Embiid to be your savior. You don't. Look at OKC. They don't have a Joel Embiid on their team. They're running wild.
Well, Pat, here's a clear thing, Pat. When Jason Tatum only played, not even 60 games this entire year. The Celtics were hanging around in second position all year long. That's their franchise player, Pat. But you know what? What they did is they worked around the team. They sufficed the offense to Jaylen Brown, Derek Brown, bringing in Sam Hauser off the three. That's something that the coach did. Then when Tatum comes back, Pat, we don't have to run Tatum's playbook. He's still the first option, but he fits into the scheme, Pat. With Embiid, it's all around Embiid. If Embiid's not there, the team's just like, what do we do? But I think the Celtics. The only downfall, Pat, is this: the Celtics rested the last 3 games basically because they knew where they were at in the playoffs. Will it be a little bit of rust today? I don't know, but they are veteran heavy, Pat. I mean, they're built. They're built. They're battle tested, Pat. They are.
And that's the big difference too, Paul. Like you look at the 76ers and the way that they're built compared to how the Celtics are built. The Sixers, like you said, they didn't have their star player for 3/4 of the season, and was still a top dog. Why? They got good because you look from top to bottom, good coaching, good players. You got a bench. The 76ers don't have a bench. Justin Edwards took a major step back.
Yeah.
Kelly Oubre, he had a great, decent game, but you're going to get 5 threes from him again. He's not going to play lights out from the perimeter again like that. Paul George can only give you half a game of basketball. Then he's nowhere to be found. VJ Edgecombe is a dunk machine. I get it, but to me, this is going to be simple for the Celtics. Shut down Maxey and see what else the Sixers can throw at you.
Yeah, take away Maxey and let the other team beat you, Pat. I mean, that's when you have Embiid in there. It's a different animal, different breed of team. But to me, if I'm the Celtics here, I have 5-star players. I know they have Kiata playing center, which is not the best center in the world. He's a hybrid guy, a lot of rebounds, a lot of motivation, a lot of physical attributes on the offensive side of the ball, moving the ball. But to me, I'm going to shut down Maxey, and I'm going to make Oubre. I'm going to make Edgecombe. I'm going to make George Obama beat you. To me, that's what I'm going to do, Pat, because my team can play. We've known it playing without our star player for 60 games of the year, and we're in number 2 position. We're in good position here. The Sixers, I don't know what they are, Pat. It's hard to say, Pat. After 83 games, really, plus 1, I don't know what they're going to do and what they are in playoffs, Pat. I don't know. I don't know right now.
I don't know. I don't think so. First of all, and I don't know how they're going to survive this. And Chris, I would love to know. Did you put like vodka in your water this morning or your orange juice? I mean, Sixers are going to stop Boston. Going to go in Game 6. Sixers win. Paul, I think you and I.
So Chris has the Celtics losing 2-4 here. I mean, Chris, I love you like a brother, but I don't know what you drank last night. I know it's Sunday morning, but goodness gracious, my man. Wow. I got the Celtics winning 4-1, Pat. I can see 4-1, possibly 4-2. The game the Sixers can steal is today, Pat. I think they could steal today because the Celtics haven't played, Pat, in the last 3 games. They've been resting, That's the only downfall. Rust versus, playoff basketball. This is a game the Celtics could lose, but Pat, the Celtics are the Celtics, man. They're top to bottom roster wise.
They all like it doesn't. It's crazy what up there in Boston because if the football team ain't good, the hockey team's good. If the hockey team ain't good, the basketball team's good. And guess what? If the basketball team ain't good, the baseball teams like they always have a parade or some kind of championship material ready to go.
Well, Pat, the Super Bowl. I mean, the Patriots did make the Super Bowl, even though they lost, Pat. I mean, they're good. I mean, coming from a 4-13 team all the way to the Super Bowl. I mean, I hate saying, Pat, but I want to know what's in the water up in New England right now. I really do.
I don't know. And like you said, who thought, again, pulling the bingo card, who would have saw the Patriots making a Super Bowl run? A Super Bowl run. I mean, we thought it was going to be for years for them to see and Drake May just, is the new Tom Brady. And like you mentioned, we're just talking, look at that Celtics team. They don't have like a crazy, all-star, all talented big man like Joe Embiid. They don't need that. Look, they got Nick Vukovic in there, who's going to ball out for them. It's just about fit the system and see what works. We got some more coming in here. Frank said if there was an all-star game, Joe Embiid would suit up. Yeah, that's true.
You're right.
Yeah, go Birds. Thanks, Tony. He's
wait, Pat, wait. Rewind that. But go Birds. What is this, Pat?
I don't know. I guess they see the T-shirt and they're
Oh,
just
okay,
going
okay,
nuts.
okay.
My man Ox says he's dealing with a lack of heart. He's holding this team back.
Yes, he is.
Yeah, and like Ox says, he says he agrees with you. He's basically stealing money. Frank says Embiid's AKA the Tin Man. Wow.
I call him bubble wrap is what I call him. But I mean, hey, if he wants a sponsor out there, go on and get 3M bubble wrap because this guy is so injury prone, Pat. I mean, it's just bad. It really is.
Yeah, he's terrible. Ox says I won't let him go on this. I won't let him go on the team bus. Wow. I just gave my Sixers stuff to my grandson, and that's a shame because, like I said, this is the same record between them, the Phillies. It's the same. Like I checked in for the Phillies game for like 2 minutes during the commercial break to see what's going on. I start to see this is a good sign. Blue seats, empty blue seats. Usually that's a sellout crowd for the last 4 years. You need that to speak to your fan base. And if the Sixers keep on going down this rabbit hole with Joel Embiid trying to be their savior, like what was Daryl Morey thinking? Like thinking he was going to be your savior. Like no, everyone's getting tired of it. Like the Flyers are the new fresh face of Philadelphia right now. So I mean, it's wild. AF812 says go Bird. Okay. OSO says should have probably have speakers for listening. Okay. Like I said, we're getting a bunch of comments coming in here. Let's get some of these YouTube ones too. We're coming, man. Everyone, thanks for everyone coming in. Soldier Steve checking in. Goes, morning, fellas. When my old friend turned rival to a broadcast partner, definition full circle. Love to see it. My man, Steve. How about it, Steve?
Steve, it's all love, man. I've known Pat for so long, and we've had our ups and downs. We've had our fist fights, and
oh man,
we've had our WWE moments. But man, I tell you what, this kid, I love him to death. And when he reached out to me, he knows, man. I will be there in his corner anytime he needs me, man. So all love there.
It's all love, Steve. I appreciate it, buddy. Going to walk the dogs, walk by church, and talk to Jesus. Yeah, well, I mean, apparently I think you drank out of the holy water this morning there.
Yeah,
Chris.
you need a couple Hail Marys for what you drank last night after that comment you made, Chris. Yeah.
Sixers play better without Embiid. Yeah, but see, Paul, do you want to take that one?
You know what? Okay, here's the thing. If I'm Nick Nurse, okay, Pat, I've coached football all my life, and I love sports. I've coached basketball. Here's my thing. If I'm Nick Nurse, and if he's out today, of course, if he comes back, what I'm going to do is I'm going to run without this guy for a whole quarter. And then I'm going to bring Embiid with the second unit. And I'm telling Embiid, you're not playing at the 3-point line. You're going to play down low. Give me 8 minutes in a quarter. That's all I want from you. Because when the second team comes in for the Celtics, you can play against Kiata. You can play against Nusek. Bang down low. Kick it out for a 3. Look for the open man. I don't need you to be Embiid, hybrid Embiid. I want you to play Tale of Two Cities. Play down low. Give me 8 minutes is all I wanted. But the Celtics are not looking for Embiid to play down low, Pat. Come in, play a different version of Embiid. That's all I want is 8 minutes from you. That's it. That's all I need.
And I think you're right, though, too. Here goes, like you said, stay down low. Why do I always catch you? And maybe it's coaching. I don't know why I keep on catching this guy on the perimeter. You shouldn't be on defense on the perimeter. You should be in the paint, block, and make sure nobody comes in that territory. But here goes the thing, though. I don't think any defense or any offenses, like there used to be offense, would be scared to go down in the paint because he would be there. Nobody's scared of him no more because he's too injury prone.
He don't even jump back. He don't even jump off the ball anymore. When he's playing defense, he doesn't even jump back. He just raises his hands, straight up, looking, no foul, just straight up in the air. But where's the Soldier? Go ahead, Pat. Where's the respect?
Yes, Soldier Steve says Sixers aren't going to get any love at all. It's a shame through Embiid's injuries, PJ suspension, a rookie VJ been playing a vet, and through all the L secure the 7th seed. Where's the respect? It's crazy. Like Steve, I want to respect this team. I want to, like I said, I want to see Maxey and VJ Edgecombe bring this town a championship, but you can't do that. They're not talented enough. They don't have a bench. They're not. And listen, I get it. Playoff times, you're not going to run deep with a bench. But still, what did the 76ers have to scare you with? You're hoping, you're being optimistic that Andre Drummond could get you boards and that could kick out. You're trying to have Andre Drummond run to beat this Joel Embiid, and it's just not the same material.
And Pat, imagine if the Sixers were in the Western Conference, Pat. They wouldn't even be a play-in team right now. I mean, you look at this roster, Maxi, Embiid, George, you're over $150 million right there. But the problem is, Pat, this team is not battle tested. They can't even make it past the first round, Pat. Teams out there, you go back to Golden State, you look at, when they had Curry, Drummond, Draymond Green, even Kevin Durant. Those teams built you when one player is hot, Pat, they went with that player. Curry only averaged 18 points in the playoffs that year when Durant was there. They go with their best player, but with the Sixers, it's Maxi, 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 Maxi. That's all they have, Pat.
That's all they have. And like you said, if you're the Celtics today, shut them down, let everyone else play basketball. There's nothing to scare you with. There's nothing. Okay. And if someone gets hot, shut them down too. Like you see that they're going to shut you down with the 2-3 zones, 3-2, 2-3. They're going to mix it up, go man to man. And they're not going to, like I said, and if we know what Maxi likes to do, pull back jumpers, run down in the paint. He gets to the lane. Other than that, like he's the only thing that scares you. Outside, you don't have to worry about a bench coming in and scare you. You're not, like I said, Don Bona brings us tons of energy, but he's like, you get another big man down there, he's going to get outbodied every time. They're going to be throwing him around. Chris says, who gets hurt more, Embiid or Hurts?
I go Embiid. I say Embiid. At least Wentz at least Wentz is on the bench for other teams. He's still playing, Pat. Embiid, no, he's out. Whatever he's doing. I think Embiid's the bigger.
The bigger problem. Yeah. He is. Steve says, what expectations did you have in entering this year? A lot of fans said that this team isn't making the playoffs, and look what they did. Why keep moving the goalposts? That's good. And so Steve brings a good point. Like, I overlooked the 76ers this year. It's kind of weird because this is where I had them as a, play-in tournament team. Like I said, I don't expect them to run the show or to be a legit,
contender.
But, I did overlook them. I did overlook the Flyers. I didn't even think about those teams. I held my hat on is the Phillies and the Eagles, and more so the Eagles because I already knew the Phillies were going to be in the Union if I got to go that route. But it's that bad. But so,
and Pat, you're right. I had them a playing team, but the thing is, we're looking at this roster, Pat. You do have a good roster with the Sixers. I admit that. But the problem is, you have that asterisk called Joel Embiid with the bubble, the asterisk next to his name. If he plays 82, Pat, this team could be a 1-2 team in the Eastern Conference. They could be. Paul George getting suspended, not playing at the beginning of the season. I get all that, but you have asterisks on this team, Pat. They're loaded, but the asterisks are there. You can't make expectations this year with the Sixers. You can never do it with Embiid on the team, Pat.
No, you can't. And Chris says Sixers and 6. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Listen, go back to St. Bernard's, go drink your holy water again. Whatever you got to do. You're doing a great job. Let's see. Jay says, go Birds. We're getting some more comments here. Go Flyers from Taylor. Man, listen, everyone should be hyped about them. Should be hyped about the Flyers. We're going to get some Flyers conversation come up here shortly. Oh my gosh, Bryson H saying go Braves. Bryson, are you from Atlanta?
That's a good man right there. That's a good man. I'm a Braves fan. I'm a Braves fan. That's a good man right there. Thank you for saying that.
Rub it in. Beat up on a wounded dog here. Ox says the Patriots got lucky. Bo Nix broke his ankle, or Denver would have been in the Super Bowl. Yeah, what it could have showed
but it's all about game plan, Pat. If a player gets hurt, you got to rally around them. A lot of teams don't do that, but you got to give Mike Vrabel and this New England Patriots credit, Pat, because who would have thunk, man? 3-14 or 4-13 last year, all the way to the Super Bowl. You got to give him credit, Pat. You got to give him credit, man. Respect. Respect's due.
My man Vinny from South Philly goes, why were we watching you talk to someone else? We can't listen. Vince, go give my man Paul Spencer a follow on TikTok. You give you can listen to his input as well. We'll be dialing up some shorts for you guys, so you constantly get our content as well. This is the fresh new Scrapple Boys. Pat and Paul are back. Devro Sports is back, so we're going to dial up. We're bringing sports talk back to where it's supposed to be. Sunday mornings, bringing to you every day, and we're going to get some strong content here. Joe House says, hey everyone, still ignoring this live SMH. No, Vince. Celtic. Oh my gosh. I like the name Autism Dad. I love the name. He goes, Celtics are going to smoke them. You're probably right. You know, the Celtics are probably going to, I think they're going to pull out the brooms, like Paul says. I think that the Sixers may get today in as a W, but outside of that, I think the party's come to an end. So we'll see what happens there. But anywho, like I said, so we got some more comments over here as well. Steve says, technically they locked the 7th seed without the play-in. If this was old school basketball, they would earn the 7th seed. The play-in is dumb. I agree.
I agree. I do not like the play-in, Pat. I like the 8 teams getting in, and that's it. There is no play-in where you got to play 2 games to get to that seed. I don't like it. I want to go old school, Pat. You know me. Let's run the top 8 teams and let's play right there.
Yeah, same here. I want to get old school. Like I said, give me the 7th seed. I don't know. I guess this is a hope to make it more interesting. Get like if it's just weird. Like the one in John's League.
It's a participation trophy, Pat. That's all it is. You finish 9th, 10th, you can still make the playoffs. To me, it's a participation trophy, Pat. I don't play for participation trophies, Pat.
So the winner of the play-in tournament gets to play the toughest team. I mean, the Sixers got an invitation, a sweepstakes to get the daylights beaten out of them by the Celtics. Yeah, that's fun. So Steve says it's just funny that everyone gets excited for the Flyers just making the playoffs, but the Sixers making the playoffs, it's just mad. They suck anyway. It's Philly, can't be pumped up for both. You can't, like so. Steve, the difference is though, this is just the same storyline in out with the Sixers. It's we want the Sixers to bring Philly a championship. We want, but you can't do it with Joel Embiid, unfortunately. Yes. Joel Embiid is the anchor to the ship that can't have the boat go forward. If like the Flyers are a brand new storyline, they have been in the playoffs in 6 years. Listen, there was more. They weren't even a mention of a conversation recently. It's been 6 years since they played. The last 2000 and I think since 2000. Since 2000, they beat Pittsburgh in a playoff tournament, in a playoff series. 2000. So it's been a long time. This is a new. We don't like in hockey. It's different because you get into the playoffs, and timing is everything. You get a hot goalie like this kid Danny Vidar, who's been playing lights out, and a good solid defense from the Flyers. You don't know what can happen. You could be that 8 seed and go to the cup. It's a different formality, a different beast. A lot of times the team that rise to, who's been that 1 seed are usually tired out, have no gas. The Flyers seem like they got their foot on the gas pedal with no brakes at this point.
And Pat, with this comment here, it's like, okay, the Sixers can go 82-0, be the number 1 seed, but the same story's coming. Will Embiid be through the 3 rounds of the playoffs? Can he play it? It's the same story every year. I get pumped for the Sixers. I'm pumped for the Sixers right now, but still, no Embiid, the roster's not there. Why are we paying this guy $55 million a year and we're getting 30 games out of the season, if that, from the guy? I'd rather see a guy get, $100 million to play every game, or a guy that gets $1 that plays every game. I want to see players play, Pat, because to me, there is no heart from Embiid, Pat. And you know how I feel about it. Like, you got to build the concrete, Pat, if you want to come to eat at my barbecue. And that's what the Sixers are doing without Embiid. They're building it without him, Pat.
No, right, and they don't have. They don't even have plates to bring to the barbecue, Paul.
No.
We have someone coming in and saying something says "Go Birds, Go Flyers." DH. Why do we have to be DHs? That's weird. So Steve says, regardless of the situation, I'm going to be pumped for my teams to make the playoffs because we could be DC Sports and never make the playoffs with any teams. That's true. You look at DC. I mean, what do they really have going for them? The Whip Snakes. I mean, the Maryland Whip Snakes, their lacrosse team. I mean, I don't know what they have going on there. Well, actually, I think their soccer team is going to be decent because they got Ty Baribo. But I don't know what they have. The Nationals, I think, might surprise some people. But I mean, the Wizards, nothing. The Capitals are old. The Commanders actually got the injury bug. I mean, they're probably going to, hopefully they turn their season around. But, Paul, we got somebody who wants to join the conversation, and a man who's been doing Pittsburgh sports for over 30 years, a legend in Pittsburgh. As a matter of fact, he's driving away to get away from Pittsburgh because in about 4 or 5 days, there's going to be nowhere to walk around.
Yeah,
it's going to be it's going to be tough. I mean, listen, you're in Johnsontown, PA. I mean, you're just outside of the noise. I mean, you could probably hear it from your house.
Probably.
But the last night was a rivalry game. The rivalry got ignited last night between the Flyers and Penguins. And what better way to bring in the man from Steel City Sundays, my man, the main host himself. You can catch him, especially when Pittsburgh, Sundays come around, football season comes rolling around. This man will be doing every pre and post game show. He does a great job. I love him. I'm glad I'm good buddies with him. Let's bring in John Phillips, the man himself. John, what's going on, buddy?
This was so important that I pulled off of Interstate 95, and I'm happy to join you guys today. How you doing this morning?
Good. Listen, you're on with Paul Spencer and myself, Pat Bernard. Obviously, John, I've been wanting to do a show with you for like the longest time because since day one, you and I got to talk, getting Steel City Sundays to get going and see where it's at, and with the hard work that you've been doing. Good gosh, man, you are a dog like no other, but you've been doing it all. So last night, let's talk a little bit about it, John. The Flyers and Penguins reunited rivalry. What do you take from the other side of the state? Because here in Philly, like, it's going nuts. This is the first time in 6 years that this team is back in the playoffs. They're hungry. They want to see this kind of stuff. What do you got from the Pittsburgh Penguin fans?
Well, I mean, very much like what's going on in Philadelphia. The Penguins hadn't been in the playoffs for 4 years. So you've got two franchises that hadn't, seen any playoff run in a little while, and obviously, state rivals. A long history, obviously, between the two. Eighth playoff appearance between the two, and it's never been good for the Penguins when they face either Philadelphia in the playoffs or the Islanders, to be quite honest with you. These are two franchises that have always, had their number in the postseason. I happened to be at that 6 overtime game. I was working in television at the time in Pittsburgh for the NBC affiliate when that it was 2001 when they went 6 overtimes at the arena. And that was one, and Philadelphia went on to, there was game 5 of that series, and Philly eventually scored the goal, and then they went back to Philly and won the series. And so the Penguins have never had a great history against the Flyers in the postseason. That is definitely something that I think is lurking in the back of people's minds. I mean, we like to make a lot about Sidney Crosby, who has, made a career out of playing the Flyers. He does not like Philadelphia. He was quoted, I think, a week ago or earlier this week saying, "I don't like them. I don't like anybody on that team." And that's the way it should be between teams between Pittsburgh and Philadelphia. They shouldn't like one another just because of proximity. But and that's the other thing that's kind of sad. They only play each other a handful of times. Used to play all the time, right? We used to play the Phillies all the time. We don't play, there's like one series between the Pirates and Phillies anymore. I don't even know how many times Philadelphia and the Penguins played this year, just a couple of times. So when when these opportunities arise in the postseason, you want to win the series, right? You want to win the series because it's it's bragging rights. And look, you said earlier, you get a hot goaltender, right? And Dan Vladar has had a pretty darn good season for you guys. Probably, I don't want to say he's the biggest reason why you're in the postseason, but over the last 2 months, he has done yeoman's work between the pipes for Philadelphia. And Rick Tocchet, you have to give him some credit where credit's due, and obviously history there with the Penguins. There's so much that is like intertwined here between the two franchises. I think this goes to 7 games. I really do. I said this beforehand to a couple people before the series started. I don't see how this doesn't go 7 games, and I do kind of like Philadelphia to win the series, even before last night's 3-2 win.
I'm going to back up the truck a little bit. You mentioned Rick Tocchet. It's wild with this head coach because when he got the job, I was out. I didn't want him to be the Flyers head coach at all. Like, I was out. I didn't want him. I was looking at, Mike Sullivan. I wanted Mike Sullivan here from you guys. I mean, look at his resume, 2 Stanley Cups. I mean, he's done, amazing. Like I went that, and then then he goes to the Rangers, and still, that team's a debacle, a complete debacle. And Rick Tocchet, is got this team in the forefront, and they're playing well. They're making plays. Like you look at the first play of the game yesterday, the first goal of the game, like Travis Zegras goes, gets the long stretch passes. He goes, wraps around the net, and then he finds Jamie Drysdale in some open spacing. Jamie Drysdale gets the goal, and it was like, I've been to Pittsburgh. I've been in the Igloo. It was nuts. It was wild. And then all of a sudden, it was like a library up in there. It was quiet. You couldn't hear a mouse fart. So it got wild for a minute. And then Malkin comes back. He gets the goal. Then there's life back up in there. And then it was the Flower show. And then Brian Ross gets that goal, and then it looks like there was a game like this was down to the wire. This is what you expected from these two. But listen, if I gotta say, they got the best of Sidney Crosby, because Crosby and Martha they running out the penalty box, and you can't do that. And luckily the Flyers go 0 for 3 on the power plays, but still, I mean, going back to what you said about Danny Vidar, Danny Barrera and Keith Jones, everyone here in Philadelphia, they look like, oh, this is a typical Flyers move, bringing in ex-Flyers people to run the organization. This is not going to work out. We've seen this with the Broad Street Bullies. It's just not going to pan out. And what's different between these two guys running the organization is they've been around the league. They go, speaking of Keith Jones, who's been a commentator for national TV, he's been around the league. He knows talent. He knows what to see. So, when you look at Danny Vidar, who was a backup goaltender for Calgary, everyone looked at it like, this is just a Band-Aid on the wound. And here, he's your potential franchise goalie. They were still looking for the franchise goalie, and this guy's been nothing but a gripe between the pipes.
No, look, whenever there's a coaching carousel or you've got to change and somebody comes in that's from outside the organization, fans are definitely going to react in the way they did. Look, Mike Sullivan ran his course here in Pittsburgh. They decided to part ways with him. They bring in Dan Muse from within the organization. People were maybe not necessarily excited about that, but Rick has done an amazing job in Philadelphia. And again, 2 months ago, this team had a 3% chance of making the playoffs. They were wearing shirts that said 3%, real tiny, right? So, and that's the kind of stuff. And Paul, I don't know how you feel about that, but that's the kind of stuff that when you get into this time of year, that's the kind of stuff that is motivating, right? It's not going to help you win games per se on the ice, but that's the kind of stuff that you carry that chip on your shoulder. You're looking for that that bulletin board material. That was what made Michael Jordan so great, right? Somebody would find a clip of something and it's like, oh, hey, Mike, did you see this? And it would just help carry a team into a game in a scenario where you think there's no chance. And Paul's shaking his head. And sure enough, as God made little green apples, there is a chance when you have stuff like that.
Well, it's funny because Paul lived, me and Paul used to be neighbors. Paul lived 2 doors down from me. So, but, Paul literally, a couple of years later, Paul wound up moving up the road. So he lived, the original Chicky and Pete's. Original here in Philly. So that's like the big times, I don't know if you ever heard Chicky and Pete's. It's yes. So Paul lived right next to it. So Parko's pretty much from the heart of Philly. Now he lives in Johnsontown, PA. So he's living next to a sheet somewhere. So so now,
as a matter of fact, 3 in 2 miles apart from each other. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so Paul gets the best, So now he goes from a Wawa hoagie to a Yin's burger. So it's just different from man. Like you said, it's bragging rights, and these are two, like you said, fan bases. Couldn't be no more than day and night from each other. It's funny because if you talk to someone outside of PA, if you go to I think you're on the road to South Carolina, and it's funny it's weird. Everyone's like, yeah, I'm from Philly, but I'll respect the Pittsburgh if they win the Super Bowl because you're still rep. You talk about those two hockey towns, and it's day and night because I was brought in to the rivalry of the Cowboys and the Eagles in the early 90s. But my son, my oldest, who just turned 13 or is getting ready to turn 14. He was brought into this rivalry. This is all he knows is any ice pigeon that he sees walking through. Like, he's not a fan. So,
and Pat, real quick, you're right about rivalries, Pat. I've lived in Johnstown 7 years now, and me being from Philadelphia, Pat, I'm not the biggest hockey guy. I'll admit that. But the day I looked at a house up here, John, and I know the rivalry's crazy back in the day, I wore a Flyers hat and a Flyers shirt. I looked at a house, I put an offer in. My realtor calls me 2 days later and said they didn't accept the offer. They sold the house $3,000 cheaper because they didn't want anybody from Philadelphia that was a Flyers fan living on the street. Across the street, they had a sign out there with the Pittsburgh Steelers, logo. And the guy came outside when I was looking at it, says Crosby is God. That's how serious it was taken back in the day. Now I want to see the rivalry renewed because you're right. Playing 2 games a season, it's not enough for me. It's in-state rivalry. I want to see more. I want to see some chalkboard material because that's what gets me going. That's fuel.
Yeah, I'll tell you. I go back to when we couldn't go to Philadelphia and buy a victory. Yeah. Okay, there was like a 12 or 13 year run where we did not win in Philadelphia at all. Not a game, not a one. It took more than a decade, and it took Mario Lemieux to finally end that streak. I think it was either 88 or 89 when that finally ended. And of course, that playoff series in 89, Lemieux had an 8-point game against Philadelphia, and the Flyers won that series too. So, the history between the two franchises, I mentioned the 6 overtime game that I attended. I've seen it. I've seen it for 5 decades almost now. I'm 56. I've seen this play out between these two teams. It used to be the Phillies and the Pirates would battle, but it's always been first and foremost Penguins Flyers between the two cities, where this heated rivalry has really taken shape. And I went to some of those games in the late 80s, early 90s. I don't know what's worse, that or going to Madison Square Garden in the 600 level with the blue shirt fans up there. Those are both like near death experiences that I never want to come across again. I was much younger back then, but it does help with the whole Pennsylvania thing, and that these two teams are playing each other. It should be a very entertaining series.
So Pat, John said about the level there. That's like a Cowboys fan going back to the old vet in the 700 level, right?
That's right.
What it was like. There you go.
You didn't go up there. You didn't go up there, but we were in college and we went up there, and it was not enjoyable by any stretch of the imagination. Same thing in DC, by the way. Those fans are bad too. Like, they don't like Pittsburgh at all. And I was dating a girl for a period of time in 2009. She was a season ticket holder, and she brought me to a couple games, and a couple of them were Penguin games. And I'm telling you, they told her both times when I was there with her, the next game they were like, "Why'd you bring him? Don't you shouldn't see him anymore." But that's what makes sports so much of fun, and for fans, fanatic and whatnot. But I think it's going to be a great series between the two.
It's funny. Like I said, I don't know. Like I said, I've been out there. I went to a game out there. I want to experience it, right? Me and my buddy Eddie, we went out there. We want to experience what's it like to watch a Flyers and Penguins game out there in Pittsburgh, out there in Eagle. We want to know what it was like. And man, like I said, anywhere from like Pennsylvania all the way up to Boston, there's no greater rivalry. That is the sports circle of rivalry sports. The sports passion that's there. There's a reason why this game was pushed back to 8:00 p.m. This is why there was an 8 p.m. primetime game for the Flyers and Penguins. Anytime these two teams lock up, I don't care what the rec book. One thing about my old man, he said, one thing about rivalry games, you could take the rivalry, you could take all those stats books and everything about it and throw it out the window, because it's not going to mean anything, because you're going to get a dog battle, and these two teams just don't like each other. And like you said, I got into it. So I did a Flyers post-game show last night, and it's just amazing. Like, everyone's getting the Flyers have been the talk of the town. It's been forever since the Flyers have been just as equal right now as because the storyline's different. There's something fresh. We just had my guy Steve check into the show, and the storyline with the Flyers is fresh and it's new. It seems like there's a new core of players. There's Danny Vidar. You had the defense. Nick Seeler makes a sliding save across on his belly to stop a Sidney Crosby goal. Like, you have a fresh, brand new baby faces who's run this organization on this team, where everyone's tired. Me and Paul just broke down the same old broken record with the Sixers. We're talking about the Phillies. The same. It seems like it's the same old regime that they. But with the Flyers, though, it's new, it's fresh, it's not. There's no mildew, it's not mold, it's not. It's going somewhere. And to start in this kind of atmosphere where you're going into the number one seed of rivalry, and maybe in all across, and I could be biased or whatever, but in hockey, I can't find a bigger rivalry between other than maybe outside of Detroit and Colorado. That there is right now between Philly and Pittsburgh. And as a matter of fact, we're getting a couple comments out here. Josh saying Philly hating Pittsburgh since the railroad strike.
Yeah, that's fair. At one time, Toronto, Montreal, I don't know. They probably still hate each other fairly decently. I think there's that. But outside of the original six and what's going on here in the Northeast, hockey, the expansion of hockey over the decades, the matriculation west into the south for a period of time. You got a good rivalry down there between Florida and Tampa Bay. That's not bad. I've actually been to one of those games a few years ago. But for the Flyers, I mean, they have, and I hate to bring this up, but they haven't won a Stanley Cup in 41 years. So that's, believe me, that's something that we like to talk about, that fans like to talk about, and people in the media like to talk about when it comes to Philadelphia. That's why the Flyers are second fiddle, right? It's always going to be a football town first, and then the Phillies as well. But the relevance of the Flyers is minimal because they have not hoisted Lord Stanley's Cup. I mean, they've been to a couple of finals in the last few, but it's even that was that might have been the Eric Lindros team. Might be the last time that they actually were in a Stanley Cup final. Well, it may be. I can't remember. I know it's been a long time. But it's great that the fans are excited about it, and they should be. They've played great hockey.
Hey, Pat, real quick. John said 41 years. Is that correct? 41 years?
It's his dinosaur from.
So all you Flyers fans out there, don't ever talk about my Cowboys. I know it's 30 years. So look, it's been 41 years for your Flyer fans.
That's like I said. I don't make fun of Cowboys fans and Cowboys about their drought, because the Flyers haven't seen a cup since dinosaurs roamed the earth. You know what I mean? Since we're talking about Bernie Perron, God rest his soul, was a primetime player. Since Bobby Clark was a primetime player, like you just mentioned, we went from Eric Lindros to a huge drought. And you had one run in 2010 of a cup, but that was 16 years ago.
16.
This was a hockey team that's been hovering around the 8th seed for God knows how long. They had a couple years where they could have, would have, should have. But you know what? They lose Danny Vidar in January. They give up almost close to 60 goals in the month of January. Danny Vidar gets back to being healthy, looking strong. And now, this team has looked promising. And like I said, solid defense, man-to-man zone yesterday. And I got to give this kid, Christian Dvorak, a lot of credit. If you pay attention to the details, what he does, he's a good two-way player for this Flyers team. He's actually taken away goals. He's turned over some stuff. He's looked really, really solid for this team. Like I said, a lot of people are expecting Game 7. And like I said, a lot of Flyer fans, Flyer fans are checked in here will say how much they can't stand Crosby. Listen, I respect, man. You guys go from Mario Lemieux to Sidney Crosby. I mean, you guys don't miss a beat. It's like the Green Bay Packers go from Favre to Rodgers. They find themselves a dynasty quarterback, Jordan Love. Like, they find themselves a good piece. You go from Mario to Crosby. I mean, look, to me, Crosby is the LeBron James of hockey. I mean, this guy, he's going to get his. He's going for the Flyers to make him, to shut him down and not be a problem, other than send him to the penalty box to get under his skin. Hey, listen, I'll take Game 1. Maybe it sets the tone, but listen, I think Rick Tocchet knows. I think this team knows this is not going to be an easy ride. We're going to hit some bumps and bruises. You're dealing with a team that knows how to win in the playoffs versus fresh new blood that's in it.
Yeah, no, and look, I respect Sidney Crosby and his his place on the Mount Rushmore of hockey in Pittsburgh is certainly set, but he's the number 2 guy. I saw Mario Lemieux play virtually his entire career. I was a high school freshman, went to like 15 games that year in '84. Arguably the greatest hockey player of all time. But nonetheless, Sidney's had an amazing career. He'll probably play another season, maybe 2 tops. But it's going to be a great 7-game series. And Malkin with his 68th career Plosky's hockey goal last night. They needed that, but they weren't able to tie it up late. But it'll be a great series. And and then by the time Game 2's over, we're just getting warmed up in Pittsburgh because we got all kinds of big stuff going on later this week.
Yeah, well, I'm about to get into that. So, like I said, it's been a great rivalry. It's been great. I think, like I said, and I'll tell you one more before we move on. Sean Couturier, seasoned veteran for this time, the captain of this team, doesn't apply a lot of goals or nothing, but he came in leading this team in hits last night and pretty much showing the Flyers and the rest of the team and setting the tone for this team. Hey, listen, we got to play physical with Pittsburgh, because if you don't, they are going to hurt you on the scoreboard. So you got to play a little bit more physical with the Penguins, and you got that last night. And like Tocchet said, he wants this rivalry back. He wants these two teams to collide. And coming from a guy who spent plenty of time over there and all that stuff. And credit though, before I go any further, Dan Muse, I talked with Will with you guys, and I told Will, I said, Will. He's like, I didn't want this guy being our head coach. I said, he seems to be the perfect fit for you guys. You guys are going from Mike Sullivan to Dan Muse, and he's turned that franchise around as well.
Yeah, no, he did a very good job this year. There's, and look, it doesn't hurt when you're the third highest scoring team in the league, right? Which was, Chinnikov. The addition of Chinnikov has certainly helped them in terms of that, in terms of production. But overall, this franchise has been very lucky, as you mentioned. You go from Mario to Sid, you go from Mario and Jágr to Sid and Gino. But at some point in time, that's going to come to an end. And for 4 years, those guys looked pretty old. I mean, again, Sid getting his points and Gino, having the season that he's had at his age. They'll probably bring him back for another year, but at some point in time, you've got to continue to try to recycle new blood. And, it was fate for both Mario and Sidney to get, chosen here as it was. I don't know if that's going to be in the cards the next few years. They were very high up in the draft. Well, for Mario, he was the number 1 pick, right? Overall, I think Sidney was 2nd or 3rd in that draft that he came out of. So, but as far as the physical nature, before we switch topics, Philadelphia came into PPG Paints last night in front of 18,000 people and played their game, and the Penguins did not counter. They allowed Philadelphia to play their game, and they played into their hands, and that's why the Flyers ended up winning last night. Pittsburgh has to change that in Game 2, or they're going to be down 0-2, and they're going to be heading east into a buzzsaw potentially. They allowed Philadelphia to control pace last night, and that's why the Flyers won.
Yeah, like I said, it's nuts. It's wild. I can't wait for it. Tomorrow night, I'm juicing for. It's been wild. Like I haven't entertained on a Monday like this since Monday Night Football. But anyway, speaking of football, you made a video not too long ago saying tell tourists pretty much don't come down here because there's going to be nowhere for you to go. Yeah, and I know you. So it's going to be, and I know it's going to be packed because I think about 5-6 years ago, it was like everyone thought it was going to be chaos because Philly fans were going to just fight everybody because if you didn't wear an Eagles jersey, you're just right. Looking for a fight. And actually, it was one of the most laid back, cool, respected. Hey, listen, this is day one. Enjoy. This. Look, everyone respects it. Hey, look, you're here to you're a Cowboys fan. You want to see the Cowboys get your draft pick and be happy. Everyone just wants to be happy. So I expect it's going to be a cool hangout down there in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, it will. I mean, so the configuration, and look, we have 3 rivers, we have a couple hundred bridges, we have a bunch of tunnels, we have several tunnels, and it's chaos, right? Like it's going to be chaotic trying to get yourself into what is essentially the North Shore of Pittsburgh, where the football stadium is. They're going to have the football stadium open. There's going to be a piece of property in front of Acrisure facing the Ohio River that'll be accessible for fans, and of course the main stage and the parking lot there where fans are going to be at. Then they have Point State Park, which is at the essentially the tip of the triangle, if you will, or the arrow of the triangle where the Monongahela and the Allegheny converge to make the Ohio. So yeah, there'll be plenty of space for people to come to, and I think it's exciting. I'm not going to say that it isn't. I don't know where I'm going to be at yet. Just on Thursday, I'm working down south the next few days, and my plan is to try to get back Wednesday evening and figure out where I can go Thursday, and try and stream and just do the things that we do in this crazy world of online entertainment. But it's great for the city. I mean, we'll probably see 400,000 or 500,000 fans total over the 3 days. I don't know if we can actually handle more than that. But if you're talking about the Golden Triangle over by Point State Park and where they're going to be at by the stadium, 150, 180,000 fans, I think we can accommodate in the both spaces. Should be a fun, entertaining 3-4 days in Pittsburgh for the NFL draft.
Yeah, like I said, it's going to be a lot. Like, so you're pretty much telling Paul he might as well leave Johnsontown, PA, if he wants to see this thing live and get there now. So that's
I got to leave tomorrow morning to get a spot, Pat. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So, but speaking of, like I said, like I said, me and Paul known each other for a long time. I'm an Eagles fan. He's a Cowboys fan. You're a Steelers fan. So we learned how me and Paul can work together great. Like I said, if the Cowboys stink, he'll be the first one to tell you. I don't have to say anything. I could just hear stay quiet. He'll let him rant. But anyway, so where do you see this Steelers team going to upgrade in the draft? First of all, are you happy with all the free agent moves? I'll ask you that. And 2, where they need to upgrade at?
Pat, first, let's start with Aaron Rodgers. What's about Aaron Rodgers? What's going on with Rodgers?
Well, that's the whole thing. This franchise, Dan Rooney was the architect of this franchise that got them to be where they are right now. He is obviously long gone. His son is definitely not in his father's, not walking in his father's footsteps. Art Rooney II, since he's taken over as president of the franchise, it's been a rudderless ship mostly. Allowing the head coaches to be in charge of all the football operations, essentially. Bill Cowher, and then of course Cowher wanted more money, and Dan said no, and so he stepped down. And then in comes Mike Tomlin, handed a Super Bowl caliber roster, which he was, and then takes them to 2 Super Bowls and wins one. Basically had the run of the mill of the entire operations of the football franchise. And Art just kind of, collected his change and, stood around and looked important and went to NFL owners meetings. And now we're, we haven't won a playoff game in 9 seasons now. The head coach finally stepped down. The crazy thing is that Art wanted to run it back with Mike, and that was, which just should tell you everything. I did a deep dive at the end of the season, and I've been on Mike Tomlin's case since 2017 in the playoff loss to Jacksonville in the divisional. The warts started to kind of show on Mike Tomlin after the Super Bowl loss to Green Bay in 2011. And over 6 seasons, I saw a lot of, terrible things.
Lost them.
We lost them, but hopefully he'll buzz back in. But yeah, Paul, like I said, the draft's around the corner. We already got my man Jason Omar saying "Go Birds," thank you. So let's dress. So getting back into my notes here, looking at what our franchises are trying to make some moves. Again, I looked at all these mock drafts. I don't like about mock drafts because they never pans out for what any of these experts say. So we got that. Oh, John's back. Let's see what he has to say. Go ahead, John.
Sorry about that. So the franchise has been a rudderless ship, and finally Mike Tomlin decided to step down. You can speculate as to why. He said the game has passed him by. Game passed him by more than a decade ago. It was quite obvious. Yeah. He's the only coach in the challenge era, the only coach in the NFL's challenge era to go 2 seasons where he didn't win a challenge, and he did that twice. Back-to-back seasons. He's the only coach that ever did that. That's how bad he was at that. Managing clock, underperforming against sub-500 teams. He lost 5 straight. First coach to ever do this or tie a record to lose 5 games against teams that were that had 8 more losses than wins. He did that 5 in a row. 5 in a row. He tied Marty Schottenheimer's record for first-round playoff exits, and yet our owner wanted to run it back with him. That just shows you the complacency that the Steelers fans of the frustration that was just boiling over, and people are racist. Look, fans want to see wins, and wins in January trump all the regular season. Never had a losing season. They were always competitive. They have not been a competitive football team in 15 years. Have not been a competitive football team in 15 years. I know they went to the conference championship game in 2016. They managed to do that by kicking 6 field goals on the road in Kansas City before they went and got blown out by New England later that year. They have not been competitive under Mike Tomlin. So, okay, they bring in Mike McCarthy. We'll see how that all plays out. But to get to what Paul had asked, to allow Aaron Rodgers to control this scenario shows you, again, all you need to know about the complacency side of things. Art was at the owners' meetings a few weeks ago and said, we will have a decision by the draft. There won't be. I'll be shocked if by Wednesday something happens. I'll be shocked. Because it's again, they're allowing this 42-year-old quarterback, and I'd take him back. I'm not going to lie. I'd take him back for another season. They've improved offensively. They've got themselves a wide receiver too. They were able to replace Kenny Gainwell with Rico Dowdle. So, I think they're going to do fine. They've got some defensive. They made some moves defensively. We'll see how that improves them. But I don't see how this is going to be wrapped up. They're allowing Aaron Rodgers to control things, and that's a problem. They have 12 picks in the draft. They got a bunch of supplementals. They have 12 picks. They got the 21st pick. They had their annual press conference earlier in the week, and Art came out and said, we're not taking a quarterback, which means they're probably going to take a quarterback. If Ty Simpson is at 21, I say the Steelers are going to take him.
Would you be okay with Ty Simpson? What am I doing? It's Mason Rudolph's going to be running the team, right? Like I'm okay with them taking Simpson at 21 if he's there, especially if Rodgers has not signed. What that tells me at that point is that they're moving on from Aaron Rodgers, and they're going to give Mason Rudolph the bridge. He's going to be the bridge between Will Howard and this kid Simpson, battling it out to figure out who's going to be the backup and could potentially replace Rudolph, who has, he's had a rough go over 9 seasons here in Pittsburgh. He was drafted by Mike Tomlin, and Tomlin was never a fan of his for whatever reason. He was graded as a first-round pick. They took him in the 2nd round, and Tomlin just never liked him. And he's the head coach, for crying out loud. You know what I mean? Like, he's involved in saying, yeah, we're going to take that guy with our pick here in the 1st round, the 2nd round. Long story short, I think that's how things play out. If Rodgers does not get announced with a contract by the draft, and if Simpson's available, they'll take him in the 1st round. If they take if somehow Rodgers inks a deal before the draft, they'll probably go with the kid from Penn State. If he's available, Ole Ione, the offensive guard, they'll probably take him
Who knows if both of those players are gone? Could be a wide receiver. I have no idea. Where's I need them to draft Walter Payton or something like that. You know what I mean? Like bring back Dick Butkus in his prime to draft. They're in the 20. They've been in this 17 to 22 hole for the last 15 years, and it has not helped the franchise one bit.
John, real quick, how do you feel about McCarthy? I'm a Cowboys fan. To me, you mentioned the word with Tomlin, time management mistakes, idiotic, stupid, non-adjustment. Well, McCarthy, I mean, he wrote the book on this, basically, as a Cowboy fan.
Yeah,
I've seen it too far.
Yeah. I mean, look, he managed to win a Super Bowl, and that's always going to be on his resume. He's a Pittsburgh kid. It's a safe hire. It's a safe hire for the ownership. And again, just it speaks volumes to our ownership group, right? Art Rooney just is not. He was an attorney by trade. He got into the family business because his dad was just getting older, and it was time for him to take the mantle over. But he was an attorney by trade. He could have spent his entire life in football. Okay, he chose not to, and it shows. It shows. They need a makeover in terms of leadership. I believe his son is working his way through the organization, and I think it's Dan Jr. And I haven't paid much attention to it all, but I know that he has been a little bit more prolific in terms of being at press conferences the last 6 months. The young kid has kind of he's working his way up in the organization. So maybe at some point in time, he can step in and potentially maybe take the reins over for his father. But as long as Art Rooney II is running this franchise, it's a crapshoot. It's just like throwing a dart at a board and you're hoping you hit a bullseye, and you end up hitting some patron sitting over on the bar 3 stools down. It's just one of those scenarios, unfortunately. That's it. That's all I got. I can sit here and talk all day, Pat. I love you to death.
Yes,
I'm so happy you asked me. To come on board. I'm parked outside a Waffle House. You know when was the last time I had Waffle House? It's been a year and a half. So I'm going to get myself a plate of Waffle House. I'm going to get myself a cup of coffee. I appreciate. I'm happy for your new endeavor, Pat. You are a great guy. You've been very good to me the past 8-9 months. Trying to figure out all this stuff, TikTok and whatnot. I really appreciate you bringing me on board. I'm always a phone call away, buddy. Anytime you need me. Okay.
Listen, John, thank you for hopping on so much. And I definitely appreciate it. It's been a good time with you and I. Like I said, I'm glad I got to know you through, me, you, Will, and Matt. We got to talk, and I'm glad. Like I said, this is my new endeavor. So again, the Birds will be locking up with the Steelers at some point this, upcoming season. So you're more and more welcome. You always got a table, see at the table. You know what I'm saying? Good friends, and looking to talk to you up the road. Before you go, Steve says, why are so many draftees not wanting to go to Pittsburgh for the draft? Is the city of Pittsburgh that bad? I thought it was just a sports team. Just kidding. Wow.
That's a new trend, but it's really pervasive this year. And Mendoza's not coming. A few of the others are not coming. It speaks more to the generational this generation of players. It really does. If I'm the NFL, I'm probably stepping in and trying to, I would have probably, if I'm Roger, I'm saying we need you here. But the kids are saying no, and it just is what it is.
All right. Well, listen, we'll see what happens. But, John, thanks for hopping on, and enjoy the Waffle House. Seems like that's your meal of the day, and we'll talk up the road, my man.
All right, we will. And by the way, Ishka Bibbles, and I'll fight anyone that says they aren't the best in the city of Philadelphia.
All right. Well, listen, Ishka Bibbles it is. So, John, have a good one, brother, and I'll talk to you.
All right. See you, Paul. Nice to talk to you guys. Thank you.
Appreciate you.
All right. That was my man, John Phillips. Always does a great job of the Steel City Sundays. Love to talk to him. Paul, like I said, he just told us what's going on with Pittsburgh. Can you tell us what's going on with the Cowboys? And first of all, are you happy from January up till now? Are you happy with the free agency moves? Where do you want the Cowboys? The Cowboys are going to be drafting at 20. Are they going to move up? Tell us what's going on with the Cowboys.
Well, yeah, I'm happy. I mean, last year, I said maybe 9 wins possible, the ceiling. Bad season, underplayed that, 8 and 9. But this year, looking into it, number one key expectation was signing Pickens. Number one, we franchised him. He signed up. Lamb's locked up. Everybody's locked up. Javonte Williams is locked up. The offense is spectacular. Offensive line, 4 new starters in different positions. I love the team, Pat, where we're at. Well, Pat, we actually have 2 picks in the first round this year. We have 12 and 20. We mentioned, Pat, draft, mock drafts. I don't care about those. To me, the eye test passes everything for me. A lot of people are saying package 12 and 20 to go get Sonny Styles out of Ohio State, linebacker, a key need. But to me, Pat, this defense has too many holes. It's like Swiss cheese, Pat. We have to use 12. We have to use 20. And to me, I like the edge rusher, Kadeem Mesdor out of Miami. I think he's solid. He's 6'8", big, 325 pounds speed wise. I love the kid. And then you have to go probably. I'm going to go. Might go to Kalen Preacher out of. He's a corner that I like, Pat, kind of safety hybrid guy. I like him out of Oregon. I do like him. I think we have too many holes to trade, Pat, to move up. I like what we're doing, but this year's draft, Pat, is 100% defense for me. That was the problem. Pat, we could score 35 points a game, but Pat, we lost 4 games giving up 35 points or more last year. And that would have put us, a 12-game win, Pat. And in this division, it's all about defense, Pat. I mean, you know about it with the Eagles defense. How many games did the Eagles defense win you guys this year when the offense sputtered? So I like where we're at, Pat. I really do as a Cowboys fan. I do.
I know it's well, that makes one of us because I can't. I mean, I try to get excited for this team, and I want to be happy for the Birds. And like you said, the defense is like this Eagles team only gave you one half of football. Only one half of football, whether it was the first half or the second half, whatever it was, there wasn't a full package of 4 quarters of football being played for the Birds. And now you're up to the draft. Couple questions are going to become is one, what's going to happen with AJ Brown? Are they going to keep on? To me, the writing is on the wall for this guy. They went out and got themselves a bunch of second-tier players to try to fill the void, try to make it, try to bump up Devontae Smith to be the number 1 guy. So, but to me, it's just not going to cut it. I feel like there's more problems with this team. You've got an O-line that's only getting older. You got a defense. You just lost Blankenship in the secondary. I mean, I think the Birds are going to have a lot of problems this year, and it doesn't seem like it's. And there's always a rumor between the coach and quarterback not on the same page.
Yeah, Pat, I agree with you. You lost a lot of key pieces there, but going back to the AJ Brown thing, Pat, the one person I respect on his team every year is Howie Roseman. He can pull a rabbit out of anything, Pat. I don't care what hat you're pulling out. He pulls it out, especially on draft day. When you got AJ Brown, we always do a live draft on out of the box, Pat. Mm-hmm. And when that happened, I'm like, you got to be kidding me. AJ Brown just got traded in a draft. To me, I don't know what's going to happen, Pat, because you said Devontae Smith being the 1. Pat, I don't see him being a 1. He's a great wide receiver. But to me, he's still a compliment wide receiver when you have a physical guy like A.J. Brown on the other side that demands, the true 1, Pat. Not saying Devontae Smith is not a true 1 wide receiver, but, Pat, can he carry the load getting 12 balls a game, playing physical at the sticks, Pat? He's more of a downfield hybrid, spread wide receiver, running the go route, running the slant route. That's him. A.J. can run it all. But when you bring in Hollywood Brown, Pat, Devontae Wicks, that to me is a 3-4 wide receiver, Pat. You're losing AJ Brown. There has something out there that is either going to be a top flight draft pick, or what does Howie do? Did he say, okay, run it back with him? Just Hurts, we're going to run this team. This is what we're going to do. Shut up and play ball. But then if that happens, Pat, then you go out and get Kalen Proctor, somebody Alabama, to take Lane Johnson's spot, Pat. Because the O-line, Pat, this O-line is getting old, man. They are getting old.
And that's what scares me. First of all, getting a couple comments still coming in about Embiid. I don't know why. And also, you can't let him be mad at Joel Embiid because he had a panic surgery. Just can't be mad. No one's being mad at Joel Embiid. It's just funny how it's the same injury around this time of year when it's ready to. Matt says, ready to lose today. We're sweeping the Sixers. I imagine, Matt, you're from B-Town. And listen, more power to you. I think B-Town is going to do that. Listen, these are 4 or 5 extra games for the Sixers and to kind of enjoy the ride. But Getting back to the draft here, like you said, in the Eagles and Cowboys conversation, like I said, I don't know. I mean, you're bringing Elijah Moore, you're bringing in Hollywood Brown. What does that?
Yes.
I mean, that doesn't still scare anybody. Like everyone, guys around are like, oh my gosh, I can't believe the Eagles are bringing. So are you not? Are you really paying attention with these guys? Are you paying attention to their stats? I mean, Hollywood Brown always gets hurt. And
Hollywood Brown is a slot wide receiver. He's your third slant guy. That makes no sense to me. Number one, because AJ Brown's physical on the outside. You have Devontae Smith on the outside who can run any route too. Hollywood Brown is a third competent wide receiver. Wicks is a little bit bigger character, but Pat, he's a wet noodle. He's 110 pounds wet. That's not physical football. That's just a downfield threat. And I just don't understand what they're doing. I think the writing is on the wall. I think teams, Howie's got the phone right now, Pat, listening to calls saying, hey, is AJ Brown on the board? What are we doing here? Can we trade for him? What is available? I think that is the X factor in the Eagles draft this year is AJ Brown, Pat, what they can get for him. I really do.
I think it's going to be a package deal for him, for Tanner McKee. I know you and I talked before air. I didn't understand the bringing in Andy Dalton. He's been around the league. We get it. He's been around for a long time, but he can't win you a game. He just doesn't have it. Like you said, you lost the jobs. Well, he's a placement holder quarterback, waiting for the next guy to be ready. That's all he is. Maybe he's a mentor for the next guy who's going to come in here after Hurts, because there was a problem. Hurts eventually did get paid, but it took a little bit while. But we'll see what happens. I mean, I think we all, like you just said, how he knows how to, when all these other GMs are still playing checkers, this guy's he's playing chess, and he knows how to talk. He knows how to sweet talk all these other GMs. So I think he's going to wind up packaging AJ Brown, and he's going to package Tanner McKee to move higher up in the draft and make a big splash.
Okay. Where do you think the biggest draft need is for your team this year, Pat? I mean, to me, on my side of the ball, I got to go defense. I need a corner. I need a linebacker. I need a defensive end. There's 4 holes that I really need to fill because Diggs is gone. Of course, he went to Green Bay and got cut right away, which is great for him. Just knowing the name, I hate him. I don't hate him, but I dislike him. But to me, there's a lot of holes. Where do you see? I mean, you lose Reed Blankenship. The offensive line's, struggling, being old. You don't know. Let's just say AJ Brown stays, Pat. Let's just put it that way. He stays. Where do you go with that 23rd pick, Pat? What are you doing?
If they stay and don't move and don't package AJ and they don't package McKee, the only thing I can see them going is offensive tackle. They gotta build that O-line. That O-line is only getting older, or I think they're just going to have to again go after the defense. Are we going to get some more out of Jahad Campbell, or what are we going to get out of this defense? Or I would like to see them go after the secondary. I still think it's not good. We're still getting more comments here. Natalie, I don't know what yours. I don't care if we lose. We should be proud of the Sixers. We got here in the first place. Come on, it's the same story, Natalie. Come on,
Pat. Hold on. Let me get that participation trophy out real quick. That's all you're doing. That's all. If you don't win it, you ain't nothing to me. You know that.
Yeah, I mean, are you happy the Sixers just getting winning the play-in tournament just to get waffled by the Celtics? I mean, come on. Hot Wings saying, "What's cooking, Gobs?" Nothing. We're talking NFL draft. I got my. Is Aaron Rodgers to Philly a rumor? Yeah, I don't know who said that.
Well, who would want a 42-year-old quarterback that don't even know if he want to play? It's just like John said, it's draft in a week, Pat, and you still don't know if this guy's locked up. To me, Pat, I hate saying the word cancer, but to me, he's a cancer in the locker room. He really is.
No, listen, there's a reason why Green Bay moved on, and plus we already got a 42-year-old backup quarterback waiting in the wings.
We don't need 43, Pat. He's 43 or 44.
Oh, he's 43. Just messing with me. Saw it on the Bird Gang page. Well, listen, if they like I said, like why would you start it? And 2, like where how do you get hype for that? Like
I got 2 words, Pat. That's called clickbait. That's what it is.
Right. To see who put it out there. I don't want them. Yeah, nobody wants some hot wings. Nobody wants them. But yeah, I mean, like I said, it's both teams looking to try and again puzzle it because to me, and I know I got told I was a Turnpike code. I got told I was a traitor. I don't know why I'm an Eagles fan. I got told I think the Giants are going to run the division this year. I'm sorry with John Harbaugh, you got Dart on there. You got a stud running back who's only going to come out healthier and stronger.
Scatterboo.
You got Scatterboo. You got Dart. I think the Giants are really going to make a big difference with a legit head coach in place.
And you know what, Pat? I agree with you. I honestly, this is the way I feel. I know it's pre-draft, Pat. We don't know anything, speculations. We don't know, the future here. But I think the Eagles regress, Pat. I really do. Even with the draft, Pat, I really do. A lot of holes are missing. The offense is once again 7 OCs again. This number 7 OC that you guys have, But I think this is the Cowboys year. And I'm not just saying it because I'm a Cowboys fan. You know me, Pat.
Yeah.
But the only problem is the defense, Pat. And I think this offense could be lights out, the best in the NFL. They're young. The offensive line, Pat, the highest guy is 26, 27 years old. They're built for the future. I like the team. I think Dallas wins the division. I think number 2 is the Giants, Pat. And if the Giants go out and get Carnell Tate, Ohio State's wide receiver, I think this offense could be right behind. The defense is still playing good. They're young. Harbaugh's a defensive coach, Pat. He loves defense. I think the Eagles possibly could finish 3rd in the division. Not saying it's going to be a runaway, Pat. I think it possibly could be a 12, 11 to 10, 1, 2, 3, 2 teams possibly can make the playoffs out of the NFC East, but it's the NFC East, Pat. We don't know, man. The first time in 20 some years, the back-to-back winners for the first time. It's hard to win this division.
No, it is. Wings goes. Hot Wings says, "I'm sorry, I have to agree with you. I've been saying that all season to my friends. Giants are going to be a force. Eagles need to jump on them wins early." Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know how the Birds can be are scaring anybody right now with some of the moves. Or maybe like Howie does his magic through the draft and does that. But until then, on paper, to me, they might finish last because I think the Commanders are going to come back stronger. They were chewed up by the injury bug, and that could that's just me being me. Yeah. They're looking at turning things around. But Paul, like I said, where are you with Dak right now? Because, like I said, he puts up tremendous numbers, all that stuff. But to me, is he the Joel Embiid of the Cowboys, where he can't stay healthy? I mean, we know the arm. He's got arm strength. He puts up amazing numbers, puts up way better numbers. But where are you with him now?
Pat, comparing him to Joel Embiid, I wouldn't go that far because. Right. Pat, coming off the injury, he still played MVP caliber the last 2 years. He missed 8 games 2 years ago. But, Pat, you look at his numbers when he's healthy. The thing that I have with Dak Prescott is he's a regular season quarterback, Pat. He puts up the numbers. He gets the MVP accolades, the nominations. But when you get to playoffs, Pat, 2 years ago, you're the 2 seed, Pat, the 2 seed at home, and you get romped by 30 points with Green Bay. They look – little brother Dave Yarnell, he said, look at his numbers. Numbers don't mean anything, Pat, to me. I have no rings on my finger, Pat. That's the problem I have. You need to shut up and play in the playoffs, win me a couple games. And I'm not talking, Pat, get past the first round, Pat. I'm talking get to it and hoist the Lombardi. That's the thing with Dak. $60 million, the highest paid quarterback in NFL, in all players, Pat. He's the highest paid player, Pat. And you have 2 playoff wins in your career. You have numbers. Pat, look at Romo. His numbers are mind-blowing. But at least he played. He got 3 playoff wins through his time. But to me, Dak needs to win in the playoffs. That's my only downfall with him, Pat. Love the guy. Heart. Great motivation. Great leader. I respect him. But I got to see some playoff wins, Pat. Injury, I'm okay with. He's came back one hell of a 180. He has.
And that might be the organization's fault. Maybe they just couldn't find the right coach for him.
Well, now they have the coach. Schottenheimer. I love him, Pat. He's a player coach. He's been around the league. His dad, Marty. Marty Ball. He's played it, and I respect it, Pat. Last year he opened up my eyes, Pat, when CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens came in for a meeting 5 minutes late. He told him, "Get it the hell out of my meeting, and you're sitting out the first quarter of the game." That's respect to me, Pat. That means a lot to me when a coach benches top two players. I love that about him. I respect him. I think the future is good with Shoddy.
Well, that's good. I mean, that's same. Hot Wings said, and with the 5th pick of the 2026 draft, I think the Giants pick clubs down.
Caleb
down.
Caleb Downs, Ohio State safety. Yeah, I think he's a good player, but to me, do you really want to take a safety that early at 5? I think the defense is solid. I think you go out and get Carnell Tate out of Ohio State, someone like that, and then you go out and get a safety out of Oregon. Preacher, he's projected late first round. The Giants can move back in, package a deal, move back in early first, because you're still sitting in the second round early again. I think you go offense first, because this is the year the Eagles defense is the greatest. Okay, Washington defense is the greatest. You got to outscore your teams in the division. Dallas isn't the greatest on defense. I think if the Giants go out and get an offensive guy to complement, Malik Neighbors out there, they got a solid running game, Pat. The quarterback's young dart who can run. I like Carnell Tate out of Ohio State. Caleb Downs is a hybrid safety. I love him too. Love the kid too.
Yeah, and listen, it's going to be interesting because, like you said, Giants add like a lethal, like you said, add more to that offense. They got a stud quarterback. They got a stud. Only thing I don't like about Dart, to me, is a little too reckless. That's but nonetheless, he's got incredible talent.
He's played that way, and when he was at Ole Miss, that's the way he played. He was just a running gun. He wears it on his sleeve. Pat, you've seen it this year. Concussion doesn't mean a thing to him. He's out there running and gunning. Hopefully, the kid learns his lesson, because the NFL is not for long, Pat. You take hits like that, you're not going to last, not that long. So he's got to learn. But he's a good quarterback. I wasn't high on him, but I respect him now as a young QB.
Yeah, well, like I said, they got Scalaboo. If they add more to the offense, it's just going to make that much team. Like I said, they got themselves a coach and play. They needed to upgrade. They were the laughingstock of the NFC. Like they have been nowhere of relevancy since 2012. It was time. Yeah. We were all waiting on, and it depended on when the Giants were going to turn their franchise around. Mm-hmm. And like I said, the Cowboys will always be there. They're always going to give the Eagles. They'll want to split with the Eagles. It's just. It's going to, how are you going to counterpunch now? How are we going to turn how all these franchises are going to turn around their season? And how are we going to do what the Cowboys are going to do? Giants sit at 5. I don't think they're going to move. They may move up in the draft. But they just, I don't know. It's just weird to me. I don't know what's going to go down.
And, the crazy thing is, this is Harbaugh's first draft with this new team. This is going to be the trendsetter of what he's going to be remembered by, having the first, 5th pick in his first year where he goes, Pat. Because if he messes this up, Pat, his name is going to be on the wall. Like, well, we brought you in, you're a pedigree Super Bowl, pedigree, coach. You ruined this team on your first draft. This is going to be remembered a lot on Harbaugh's first draft for the Giants, Pat.
Right. I think, at maximum or minimum, you get a 3-year deal with them. If this franchise ain't somewhat turned around, like you said, this is his first draft. It's a change of scenery for him. We all know that, but we'll see what happens. Flex says, "Go Birds." Okay. Thank you. Yeah, but like I said, it's going to be an interesting ride coming draft. Like I said, I can't believe the NFL season is back on track in a couple of days, and everyone you'll be unfortunately, you and I have to wait for a while for 20 and 23rd pick. That's going to be
yeah. We got the 12th pick, but we'll do
12. I'm sorry.
We'll do the whole draft of the first round. But Pat, that's a 6-hour event right there, because you got 15 minutes in between each one, Pat. You know who you're picking. Just turn the card in and get it over with. Like, come on.
Right. You already know it's listen, the war room is going to be going off. The phones will be going off. It's going to be fun. But Paul, listen, we're going to ready to wrap up the show. We did an hour and a half. We had a great show. Listen, me and Paul were back here. Scrabble Boys are back. But Paul, I got to ask before we wrap up. 1:00 game, Sixers, Celtics. What is on the Spencer household dinner plate?
Well, you know what, Pat? A lot has changed in my life, Pat. So, me as the cook, I love the cook. You know that, man. But to me, it's whatever, as you always say, it is whatever the foreman says. So my new foreman, Christina, out there, the love of my life, whatever she picks, we will make. But if it's up to me, Pat, hey, you can't go wrong with maybe some chicken parm today or something like that, because after a Sixer beatdown is what's going to happen today, Pat. I think I need to eat all I can eat, because I don't know, Pat. It might be my last meal on earth after watching how bad these Sixers are going to get beat today. And I don't know. Chicken parm I'm going to go with, Pat, if I have a choice.
That is a solid selection. I mean, I'm not going to go popcorn, because I'll throw popcorn head midway through the game. It's definitely a pasta Sunday. Chicken parm sounds good. We as the home former, I dialed in some ravioli, so we might have to do a ravioli on this side. So that sounds like the play. But listen, we'll be back here next Sunday chopping it up. I'll be up at 4 a.m. for the next show. But like I said, we'll be doing shows through the course of the week, and guys, we'll be chopping up some content for you, so don't go anywhere. Real fast before we get out of here, we have some comments coming in again. A lot of comments still coming in for Joel Embiid. This has been a Joel Embiid heavy show. Apparently, this is Embiid is his own class of injury prone.
Yeah.
Kyle also says after his career ends, he needs to do a charity run and get his name to a bunch of hospital errors. Wow. He's taking a lot. He goes, after his career ends, he needs to do charity tours for a bunch of ERs. Lord.
He could be the spokesman, Pat. I mean, there you go. Joel Embiid Memorial at Penn Medicine. Oh, Lord.
Boy, man. And then he goes, I feel Embiid and Paul George are not reliable. We should trade them after the season.
But the problem with that PG, Pat, you can't trade PG. It's going to be another situation where who's going to buy that contract for $40 million a year for a person that gets suspended, number one, they can't play over 50 games. Nobody wants them. You're stuck with these players, Pat. That's the problem.
That is the problem. Like, okay, I'm the Sacramento Kings. You're the Sacramento Kings, and I come up to, hey, Paul, hey, listen, I got hey, would you like Embiid and Paul George for a bunch of picks? You're going to tell me no.
No, look at OKC, Pat. They built through the draft, young players through the draft, and look where they are now. Number 1 seed, defending champs. You build through the draft. You can't build with 2 veteran players that don't play. If you hit or miss in the draft, Pat, you're set for next year. Look at OKC. They won it last year. Pat, they still have a top 3 pick this year coming to the draft again, even though winning the championship, Pat.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I can't see other than a ticket sale, but still, these guys are long in the tooth. Other franchises want to, like you just said, like you mentioned about OKC, they want to build through draft and find a franchise piece. Those guys they're past their prime. They had their time in the sun. They're over. They're over the hill. Who wants it? I feel maybe we should keep some of their salary, and then they are bad for the team, but I feel that we must get rid of them. Yeah, but nobody's going to want to take it.
You've given max contracts to these players. I mean, they're top 3 in their position. Even though you bite the cap space, but still, you have to have another team to take it, or you're going to lose. You're going to be in luxury tax every year, paying that fine every year for players. You can't do it with the Sixers. You're basically in hell, Pat, right now with these situations of contracts.
Yeah, it's over. So
you're in Tobias Harris situation again, Pat. That's what you're in again with these guys. Remember his contract, how bad it was.
And they were lucky to get him out of here. And listen, he's hot, at a better, in a better situation.
Detroit,
him and B-Ball Paul. Lego Franklin says, "Did the Eagles have a chance to win the Super Bowl? Chance at the Super Bowl? No." I'm sorry. I'm telling you, as an Eagles fan, no, they don't. Sorry, no, they don't. And I'm just being honest. I don't feel it. I'm going to be straight up. But we could keep some of their salary. Yeah, well, I mean,
but if you do keep some of their salary, you're taking away some money off the plate here, because you go out and sign. Then you have to build to the draft. And I get, if you trade him, but what are you going to get for a player that can't play, though? That's the problem. Are you really going to give a first round for Embiid? No. Are you going to give a first round for a Paul George? No. You might get a mid-round second, third option out of that, but you can't build with second and third options. Look at the Sixers draft lately. You get Edgecombe, but other than that, what have you drafted in the last couple of years, Pat? Nothing.
I get it. There's only one way out of this. and you're going to have to move on from Maxey. I hate
Caught
to
him in
tell you.
rebuild. No, I don't. No, I can't move on from Maxi Pack.
And you can't,
build around
but
him. You have to. Yeah.
you have to build around them. But this team is stuck. They put themselves in this bear trap so bad that they just can't figure out how to unlock their leg from it. And it's hurting this team. But like I said, let's enjoy our Sundays here, Paul. Let's like I said, I'll be back here for the Sixers post game show. But listen, we'll be chopping up for you guys. Stay tuned. Like I said, sports talk is back right where it's supposed to be. We people want to know who those Dev Row guys are, who the Scarapa boys are. You're going to find out because we're going to take this stuff by storm. So anyway, guys, have a good afternoon. Me, Paul, will catch you later. Everyone have a good afternoon. Bye-bye.